Welcome to the Adventures of Alcaraz podcast. My name is Julian Alcaraz.
And I'm Miranda Alcaraz, and this is week 11 to 12
Wow,
of our pregnancy podcast.
So we're like over a fourth of the way done.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty wild. It's been a great week because we got to find out what we're having.
A baby.
A baby. Whether it be a boy or girl.
Yeah, we did get our results.
We were highly anticipating that and how excited we were.
But even more exciting, we found out that the baby is very healthy. Well, doesn't have any of the markers for things they were testing for in the NIPT test.
Correct. Which, like we talked about last week, not that it would have mattered. It just kind of prepares us for, it's just, peace of mind to know how.
You said it.
I did, but we're going to get to it anyway. All right, so this week was great. Wednesday, I know we were anticipating the call, and we got a missed call because they called so late.
Oh, my gosh. So I had given up, so they said 5 to 10 business days, which 5 business days would have been on Wednesday, which is exactly a week after we took the blood draw. And of course, like the crazy person that I am, I had Googled on different message boards how long it took other people to get their results from the same company. And unless it was over Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, something like that, all of them were saying I got my results exactly 1 week after. And so on Wednesday, I was convinced I was going to get that call. And 5 p.m. rolls around and nothing. And so put my phone down, started warming up to work out. Grabbed my phone 7 minutes later. It's 5:07. I had missed a call at 5:02. 5:02. They waited till after 5. And so I called him back, no answer. Called him back again, no answer. And I was like, gosh, dang it, we're going to have to wait till tomorrow. And I was so irritated at myself, number one, for not having my ringer on, and at them for calling after 5. Because I feel like of all the places, doctors' offices are so rigid on their 5 p.m. cutoff schedule. Mm-hmm. It's like a bank, where they're just 5 p.m.'s closing time. So I had given up, and we had to wait till the next day. And that night, I had a little bit of a meltdown. Do you remember?
Of course I remember.
Not a meltdown
You had a panic.
I was just having a really hard time sleeping, and I was emotional because they do test for some pretty scary things, several of which could mean that your baby won't make it through the whole pregnancy, or that has a very slim chance of living more than a year. And up until that point, you're just kind of blissfully thinking that everything's perfect with your pregnancy, or I guess hoping and being not knowing for sure. But I knew I was going to call them first thing in the morning, and just kind of going to bed that night. It's this, maybe I'm just a doomsday person, but I was just this could be the last night that we have in our mind that we have a perfectly healthy baby, where tomorrow we could find out that that's not the case at all. And it could start this whole journey of preparing to have a baby who's not going to be well or whatever, figuring out how we're going to deal with any sort of results that come back. So I was a little bit worried about it. Yeah.
Yes, but it was great, though, because it was a time where everybody was there anyway, so that kind of would have taken away from the moment, I feel like. So it was good because it put us in a position where we called in the next morning as soon as they opened up, 9 a.m., and you were like, hey, I got a missed call from you guys.
I did not expect them to be able to talk to me at 9 because this isn't some information that the receptionist at the doctor's office is going to go over with you. Mm-hmm. So I figured they would just take my name and say that the doctor would call me later. And again, it would be at 4:30, 5 o'clock when they actually got around to calling me back. But so I called. I said I had missed a call from you guys. And they were like, do you know what it was about? And I said, well, I'm waiting for some tests. I also was kind of thinking that it was going to be something dumb, where they were going to say, oh, we were just calling to confirm your appointment next week, because mm-hmm. I do have an appointment this week to go to the doctor. Yeah. And so I was simultaneously trying not to let myself get my hopes up that that's why they were calling. Mm-hmm. So I said, well, I'm waiting for some test results, but I don't know if that's why they were calling or not. And they were like, okay, hold on. And then when the when someone came back, it was our, I don't want to call her a nurse. I'm not sure exactly what her role is. It's not that wasn't our doctor that we talked to. It was
just somebody else that was able to read information to us.
Maybe she is a nurse. I don't know. And she said, I have your results from the NIPT test. Is now a good time. And so I gave you one of the pods, the ear pods. And because for us, these types of things, and I know not everybody is like this in their relationships, and some dads like aren't super involved in the doctor's appointments and stuff, but for us, it's like very much a team thing. And so I didn't want to get the results myself and then just tell you later or anything like that. So Hugh had an ear pod and I had an ear pod. And the first thing she told us is she went through all the like specific genetic things they were testing for and said that they were all negative. And of course, because it's just a screen and it's not like a diagnostic test, there's a chance for false positive or negative. Like you still got to wait till the baby's born to find out everything exactly, obviously, but for sure, peace of mind that no red flags came up. And I was just like sobbing, like just crying. And then we had talked about when going to the office and having them put the gender in an envelope, remember? And we were going to go get it and then park somewhere quiet and open it together. But at this point, like it was super quiet in our house. We were on the couch in our living room. And so when she asked if we wanted to know the gender, we kind of like talked about it for a second and then said yes. And she was like, are you sure? Because we were like discussing it like with her on the phone. And we said, yeah, tell us. And so what did she say? She
said, you guys are having a boy.
Yeah, another boy. And then we both just like got a little emotional for that.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
It's very special. I can see it right now. Like you're really confident. It's making me feel emotional again. Why?
Yeah. I don't know. And I know like this might be a controversial thing to say these days, but I do feel for me that the more information that I have about my child, the more I feel like I know him as a person. And that's true with like all these genetic tests or whatever. Just it's a really weird feeling to have a human being with you 24/7 and know nothing about this person, you know? So for me, like knowing that it's because Knox is a little boy and now I know this is a little boy and I know that they're not the same little boy or they might be completely different, but it just helps me feel like I know him a little bit more and can connect with him a little bit more. And so, yeah, I mean, what about for you?
It was special for me. I mentioned to you already that I know there was like the whole teasing me that like, oh, you're going to have a girl, but something inside of me knew that I just felt like it was going to be a boy. You know, would I have been ready for a girl? Yes. Was I scared to have a girl? Yes. But I would have done my best at it, and I know I would have been a great father to a little girl. But to hear that we have another boy coming along, that's exciting for me because it's almost like a recap, reliving my life, and now getting to see it from the father's point of view.
Yeah, because one big thing that I was saying to you is you are the second little boy. Like I
am the second little boy.
Yeah, you have a brother that's about, 3 years older than you?
2.5, yeah.
So, very similar age difference. Like you are the baby that's currently in the belly. Like it's weird to think about it that way, but and I mean, your mom is our child's caretaker. Yeah. So she's just like starting over, basically. Yeah. It's crazy.
It was like a special moment for her too, just because it is like almost like a do-over and getting to see it from the grandma's point of view and then having me step up into the father point of view. To me, it's a special thing because now I get to connect with my dad even more, seeing what he went through because now I'm being put in the same steps as that. So that to me is very special. Knowing that we have 2 boys coming along like that fires me up as a dad because I know the special bond that I had with my brother when I was younger and everything growing up, how that meant to me. So knowing that Knox is going to have the same thing, it's just guiding him from some of the mistakes that I felt that were made in the relationship with my brother and myself, and just always being there to allow them to be vulnerable with each other. So it pumps me up, and of course, like there's like the whole things of now the Alcaraz name is going to continue living on, but those are all small things in my eyes. I'm just excited for them and watching their relationship and being a father to that relationship for them.
And then we went out. So after we found out, we went out to the garage because your mom and Knox were in the garage. Of course, he was working out, as always, his morning workout. And we told them. And your mom said something really funny. She was like, oh, my gosh, thank goodness. Like, I didn't know how to take care of a girl. I was really nervous.
She was also scared.
Yeah, because she's raised you and your brother, and that's like what she knows. So I think all of us had a little bit of a fear of a little girl. There's definitely been it, not now, like it's pretty much gone. Besides that, we did come up with a really sweet girl's name that will not be used, and I still am not going to tell anyone just in case. Yeah. You never know. But and we had just come up with it like 2 days before we found out. Yeah. It was a really cool name. But there was definitely like some of me that had to let go of that idea because we do plan on this being our last kid. Yeah. To let go of the idea that I will ever have like a daughter is like a little bit. I mean, you gotta like let go of that, and there was a part of me that was excited for that opportunity for me. Same, yeah. But and then at first I think of it as like, I like the moment we were telling your mom and Knox was running around the garage like a wild banshee. He's just so hyper and talkative and just, I mean, he's a handful, not in a bad way, like in like he doesn't obey way, but he's just very high energy. Yeah. And at first you're like, oh my gosh, like there's gonna be 2 of these little wild banshees. And then the more I've like let it settle in, the more I've really realized and almost can feel that this second baby is like, it's not another Knox. Like it's a completely different person. You and your brother are very different. Me and all my siblings are very different. Like, so to not assume that they're going to be the same or have the same interests or like be the same as babies or toddlers or anything, and just like really getting to know Knox has been literally like the highlight of my entire life because he's so funny and just silly and smart, and just like to have an opportunity to start from scratch to get to know the second one. I'm not going to say his name. We do have a name, but we're not going to tell you guys yet. And just, I can feel that he's a different person. He feels different to me already, and the situation is different and everything. So I think that's important to like remember that, to automatically right out of the gate, just, and I mean, maybe you can speak to this too because you're one of 2 brothers, but to not compare or expect them to be the same or anything. That's right. It's not comparing. It's summarize it. Because each one is their own individual person. Each one of them is going to have their own set of talents and skills and the way they communicate and express it themselves. So it's going to be great, like fun journey. Yeah. Of course, like I'm into like horoscopes and enneagrams and stuff like that, and I don't put like too much weight into it, but again, like I just want to know more about this person, and like so I started looking up. So Knox is a Leo, which is like very wants attention and very much a performer and a little like diva-ish or whatever. And Knox, I mean, in the description of Knox as a toddler, it says that he's bossy, which he absolutely is. And the new baby, he will be a Taurus. And so we will have a lion and a bull running around. But even with those, the personality profiles are like very different. And I'm just like super excited to see how he's different and how they're the same and how they like connect together. Yeah. So that's our reveal. And I know that this week, you've kind of switched now, going to you personally feeling like your eating has kind of shifted for even in the evening. Yeah, I haven't felt, and it's getting back to normal now, but for sure, like most of last week, I haven't been like almost as hungry at night, and just like eating in general sounds like ugh to me. So eating our regular like ground turkey, rice, veggies, even though that's what I eat every night for dinner for years now. Like it just hasn't sounded good. And I would like have a hard time finishing it. So I've been making breakfast for dinner like bacon, eggs, toast. It's been so delicious.
Yeah, so tasty.
Maybe the French toast thing really set that off. I don't know, but it's been good. It's been different. Just making sure that I'm eating enough. And you made us get pizza on Wednesday, you and Brian.
Yeah.
Remember, I fell asleep in Knox's room, and I came down, and I was not going to eat it.
Yeah.
But I was so out of it and so hungry, and you guys had saved me some slices, and I just hammered it big
so
time.
tasty. So
I
tasty.
know. I was so mad at myself after that because I didn't want it.
Yeah, we've been trying to get you to get the best sleep possible because your body's still extremely tired. But we know now why, right? Like, you haven't been able to get consistent sleep throughout the night. So just trying to navigate through that. I mean, normal obstacles that everybody goes through. Just being aware of that. And that's why you've been giving yourself plenty of time to go home and just have alone time before people go to the house to work out and everything.
Yeah.
And just so you can connect with our baby.
Yeah, and I've gained 5 pounds now, which I think I talked last week on the podcast that I was worried that I wasn't gaining enough weight.
Yeah.
But then between week 10, I don't think I weighed myself on week 11, or I didn't write it down if I did, and I think it was just because it was still the same. But from week 10 to 12, I've gained like 3 more pounds, and so now these pregnancy weight calculators are so dumb because literally when I went on there 2 weeks ago, it made me feel like I hadn't gained enough. I gained 3 pounds, and now it's telling me that I've gained too much.
Oh, wow.
And I think that those things really mess with people. Like, I think, like, it's so individual, and weight, like, they have it on, like, a 1 pound a week thing or whatever, and it's like, well, for 4 weeks I didn't gain anything, and then in 2 weeks I gained 3 pounds. Like, I don't know. I think that all of that stuff, I think, listen to your doctor, and even some doctors are really dumb about, like, I had this problem last time where they felt like Knox was going to be tiny just because of the shape of my belly. Or doctors telling people that they've gained too much or too little or whatever. I mean, there is definitely, like, you don't want to overdo it, and you definitely want to make sure you're eating enough. But we've had friends that have told us, some close friends of ours, where she said she gained almost all of her weight for her second pregnancy in the first trimester versus people who say they don't gain any weight in their first trimester. I just think stay away from those calculators because...
Yeah, and even to what you were saying, it's not even that doctors are dumb, and I know you don't feel that. It's just definitely that...
Not dumb, but they're mean in their delivery.
Yeah, I think what's happening now is that doctors go off this chart, and they're not taking the time based off of, it seems like, their experience in the field, and like the longer they're in it, they get so burned out that they forget that each person is going through like their own story, and as opposed to making people feel at peace, right? Like with these apps, and be like, hey, just understand, like, this is just like a general, but it's okay if it's different. It's a different journey for you. I think that it just, even if they took that small little extra time to give peace of mind, that's where everybody wouldn't be going in the direction that they're going. Everybody's like panic. Everybody's like, that isn't aware. Like you said, this app's telling you, oh no, this is too much, and now what? You know, that sucks. I feel for you guys. That sucks.
It's really annoying. But yeah, the doctors use the same charts that the apps use and everything. So
that's rough.
Yeah, I mean, I feel okay about it.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And then I would say the biggest highlight of the last week has been Knox talking to the baby a lot.
Yes.
And I mean, he high fives him. He says, "What's up, bro?" I tell him to tell him good morning. He's like, "Good morning, bro," and he'll like smack him. He hugs the belly, and like yesterday we were painting pumpkins, and he's like helping paint his little brother's pumpkin because he can't paint it himself yet. And just we started going through Knox's old clothes, and he was helping. Well, kind of, he was there with that, and so getting him involved has been really fun now that we can tell him a little bit more about it. So
yeah,
yeah,
it's been a good week, and now this week we're looking forward to it as well. But yes, that's a recap on week 11.
Okay. Week 12.
Week 12, right?
Yes.
All right, week 12. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening. Again, this is Adventures of Alcaraz podcast. I'm Julian Alcaraz.
I'm Miranda Alcaraz.
Talk soon.